Welcome to the launch of That Anita Live TV, edutainment to help you become emotionally whole, emotionally healed, and emotionally healthy. I'm Anita, your host, and thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. I am ever excited to be here today for season 1, episode 1 of That Anita Live TV, the inaugural episode. And for this episode, I interview none other than Michelle Matthews Calloway of the Swirl World. Are you down with the swirl? When you date, does color matter? 47% of the African-American women in the United States today are single. But Michelle says dating opportunities for African-American women are endless if they would only open their minds. Take a look.
Okay, hi Michelle.
Hey Anita, how are you?
Just fine. I am talking to Michelle of the Swirl World. Michelle, tell us a little bit about the Swirl World, and then we'll jump into a bit more about the interview.
Okay, the swirlworld.com is a blog. We also have a podcast by the same name, and our basic mission is to see Black women live their best life. In the Swirl World, we encourage Black women to swirl, which means we encourage them to date and marry interracially. And so we encourage them to expand their dating and marriage options. And in the Swirl World, we celebrate Black women and the diverse men who love us. Our overarching mission, and I want to say this, is to see Black women living their best life, regardless of their relationship choices. Now, our target audience is Black women who are swirling or who are dating and are married interracially. But overall, what we want is to see Black women live their best life. So the dating advice we give, the relationship advice, even though we're targeting people who are swirling, savvy women can take what we say and they can apply it to any ethnic group of men.
Now, how did the Swirl World get started?
The Swirl World actually is a residency project that I started. I have a Ph.D. and my doctorate is in higher education administration. And diversity is really a huge part of my life. My father is a 23-year Army veteran, a Go Army, and we traveled all over the world. I've lived in 6 different foreign countries and 9 different states. And so often we were my 2 brothers and I'm the independent middle child, but I like to say that. My 2 brothers and I have one older, one younger. We were often the only people of color in classrooms. Our family was often the only family of color in the neighborhood. So I was always faced with diversity, and I find it fascinating. It's fascinating to me that people have different cultural backgrounds, different experiences, things that one ethnic group does, another does that same thing differently. So it's always been an interest and a passion of mine. And in my pursuit of my doctorate, I had to do a residency. I had to do several. And we had to do a project related to our thesis, and mine was on diversity. So I started the Swirl World first as a Facebook page and then as a blog. And it just kind of took off from there. I was actually, had my Facebook page going and had the blog. And I was in an interracial relationship. Let me say this as well. I didn't start out as a swirler in college. I went out on dates with guys who were different ethnic groups, but it wasn't really something that I just really saw myself doing. I wasn't opposed to it, but it just wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't really occur to me to engage in that way. Got married. My husband passed away, and it was after I became a widow that I met someone who had all the qualifications that I was looking for, but he was a different ethnic group. And I had to face that question, am I going to pass up on this wonderful guy because he's a different ethnic group than me? So all of this came meshing together while I'm working on my dissertation, because I actually met him the first year I started my doctoral program. My husband had been dead 2 years when I started. And so all of these things came together at just the right time. And one of the fans on the Swirl World, her name is Adrienne London Leach, I think she saw I was drowning, that I had all these things going, and she inboxed me and she said, hey, I'm interracially married. I love your blog, love what you're doing. If you need help or want someone to assist you, I'm here. And that's how Adrian came on. And so she's been with the Swirl World almost from day one. But long answer to a short question, that's how we got started.
Because I noticed your Facebook page has over 30,000 likes.
Yes, we actually are at almost 38,000 at this point. And Adrian was, I would say she probably was in the first 100. So that's how far back she goes.
And what year did you get started?
We got started in 2011. So
Wow.
with the actual Facebook page, and so yeah, and the blog and all of that good stuff.
Okay, so that's how it all got started, and it began to take off. Were you surprised by how fast it took off, or how people took to it?
I kind of was, because, you don't really, especially living in the South at the time, I didn't see a lot of interracial couples. But then it's kind of like, you buy a red car or a red Corvette, and all of a sudden you see red Corvettes everywhere. So it's like the couples were always there. I just wasn't really paying attention to them. And at the time I was living in Dallas, which is a very large metropolitan area. There are lots of swirlers there. But even then, it's only been statistically within the last 2 to 3 years that the numbers have grown with the mix of Black women, white men, or Black women and other non-Black men. Black men swirl at a rate of almost 3 to 1. So oftentimes the couples you would see would be Black men with non-Black women. So that's, a lot more common. So I didn't really see a lot. I see a lot more now, and I've seen an increase, as I said, within the past 2 to 3 years. So, and it's like our page and our blog has exploded kind of accordingly. It started off, it kind of built up steam over time, and now within the past 2 to 3 years, we've seen the explosive growth in proportion to the numbers of the women who are swirling.
Do you find that women come to you when they're faced with having to decide, I'm being hit on by this guy and he's not African American, I'm not used to that, I don't know what to do, should I do? Do you find that women come to you for advice when they're in that predicament?
Oh, for sure. We get a lot of inboxes, daily, emails, inboxes on Facebook, and it's interesting because a lot of times Black women, what we're finding anyway, is that they struggle. There's an attraction there. So, first of all, a lot of times they're surprised. What? Bob likes me, or Bob is interested in me? So I'm saying Bob, I'm being stereotypical, but y'all know what I mean. Some people say Jason or Josh. No, Josh is the other name that we like to use. But so they're faced with that. And one of the things that was interesting is that they find that a lot of times non-Black men, and I'll just say white men so I don't have to keep saying non-Black men, white men usually have a very different approach. Black men are more overt. When they like you, they're going to let you know, they're going to say something, they're going to do things. And especially if that's been your paradigm, that's what you've been dating, you kind of know the signs. Whereas a man from another ethnicity, white men tend to be more subtle. They may say, oh, I like your hair, or, oh, that's a pretty dress. And you're thinking they're just paying you a compliment, but really they're expressing interest. So there's this dawning, could it be, that he really likes me? So they come for advice. This is what he said, this is what he's done. And we're able to kind of break that down with them and say, yeah, he likes you. Bob likes you.
Now, what is the greatest difficulty they have in getting over the hurdle?
The greatest difficulty from what we've seen is that a lot of times Black women feel guilty. They feel guilty because we're such nurturers and we're accustomed to, in a sense, bearing everybody's burdens and looking out for everyone. There's this strong sense of community and all of those things. They feel like they're abandoning, quote unquote, the race. And a lot of times that's perpetuated by people who, for whatever reason, put all of this burden on a Black woman's shoulders, when ultimately your life is your own. Your choices are your own. You have to do what works for you. we tend to look at the world from a United States perspective, an African American perspective, but there are Black people all over the world. There are Africans, there are Black, literally Black people living everywhere. So the race is not going to be diluted. Black people are not going to go into extinction. And all of these, things that
Yes, yeah.
Black men are guilted with, they have to push past that. And then of course sometimes it's their family, they have older parents or brothers, sometimes
That's the one I was
back. Yeah, or their girlfriends, girl, what? And it's like, but you have to do what works for you. And all we say is don't limit yourself, open yourself up, be flexible, expand. If you fish in a pond, you may catch some fish, but you're limited in the number of fish you catch, the quality of fish. But guess what? If you fish in an ocean, almost the sky's the limit as to what you can get. So we get a variety of inboxes. A lot of times, though, there's some guilt associated, like they're doing something wrong, when really all you're doing is finding love. And what's wrong with that?
So has the biggest attraction that you've seen being between African American women and Caucasian men?
Yes, that's kind of the largest group, because they tend to be the largest ethnic group.
Okay.
But we have women in the Swirl World. Don Sanchez, and you can kind of tell from the last name what kind of
Latina.
He's a Latin man. We have Black women who are married to Asian men, Latin men, German, French. Just all kinds of different. Someone on the podcast, and her husband is from Macedonia, and a really handsome guy. And she's a beautiful girl, and they have an adorable son named Noah. So it's not just white men. That's the predominant group because their numbers are larger. But we have Black women who are married to men of all ethnic groups. We interviewed another lady. She lives in Mississippi, of all places. And she's married to a man who's Arabian. So, and what I love about all of this is that it just further proves the point that Black women are desirable to men of all ethnic groups, not just men within our own group, but men of every culture, every ethnic background find Black women beautiful, find us desirable, find us so many qualities that they see in us, and they want us for wives. And I want to stress that as well. One of the things, and let me say this, that we get questions about, and I know it's coming out, but we get this all the time, is that, it's a fetish. Which my thing is, reading is fundamental. Go define the word, first of all, because you're using it incorrectly.
Right.
And it's not, of course, think about it. Let me say this. People can have wrong motives, but you don't have to be white to have a wrong motive. A Black man can have a wrong motive for wanting to date a Black woman. There may be something about her that he's attracted to, or he, for whatever reason. So that's not strictly some ethnic group that wants you for a fetish. No. Yes, there are men who want women for the wrong reasons. There are some men who are trying to fulfill some fantasy, but that's where vetting comes in. But for the most part, men who mean well, men who want good, solid relationships, they find Black women desirable, highly desirable.
Now, in your Facebook group, it sounds as if it's very supportive and loving. Have you received any criticism?
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, we get our share of trolls. We do have, Black men who make comments or come in sometimes and spam our page and say really ugly things. But what's interesting, Anita, is that, especially on the Facebook page, we get trolled more by white women than any other group. Amazingly, yeah. White women troll our page.
Really?
And it's a variety. It's usually the same 2 or 3 things that they're trolling us about. You'll have white women who are married to or dating Black men.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I said that Black men marry, they call it marrying out. They marry out at a rate of almost 3 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So those women, come in the Swirl World and well, it's the Swirl World. Why aren't you including us? Well, we're not including you because our focus is Black women. There are pages and websites and other places that you can go that focus on your particular swirl mix. In the Swirl World, our focus is Black women. So we get this pushback from them. Why? Why can't you be inclusive of everybody? Because we're not. Because this is what we choose. We believe Black women are underserved and underrepresented. And if you want to focus on white women, Black men mix, you're free to go start a page just like we did. But we get that. We get the pushback. Why aren't you focusing on us? And then we even get pushback. Why is the focus Black women? And we're like, when the focus is non-Black women, you don't seem to have a problem. So why do you have a problem when the focus is not on you? It's interesting, but that's our biggest troll group. We have dust-ups. We call them dust-ups occasionally on the page where, they'll come in and I think this is racist, or I think you're being exclusionary, which is divisive. We even had somebody come in, with Simone Biles and the other Olympians who were just doing it up. Black women were.
Yes.
They had problems with us posting about their successes. And it's like, why is it, again, when other ethnic groups are shining and doing well, you're okay. You don't have anything to say. But because we're uplifting Black women, there's a problem. So that's our biggest troll group. Interestingly enough, we get white women who want to be included and are offended because they feel they're being excluded. And my thing is, there are 1,000,001 places you can go. You can't come in. It'd be like me coming in your house and saying, why are your walls gray? They need to be yellow. I have yellow walls at my house. Why aren't you? Well, because it's your house. You can paint them any color you want. Well, the Swirl World is our creation. And in our focus, we choose to focus and celebrate Black women.
I would have never guessed it. I would have guessed that it was Caucasian men that were more on the racist drive, not necessarily towards one or the other, whether it be Black men or Black women or white, but just the mixing of the colors at all.
No, and again, I think from our experience and what we see, that's a myth. There are a lot of white men who are interested in Black women. Some are afraid to show it or to do anything about it, but more and more, they're allowing themselves to, just as we tell Black women to expand their dating and marriage options, white men are doing the same thing. So, and it's like with anything, you think about stereotypes. How do they come about? Because a small group of people within a certain larger group do certain things. So just like there are quote unquote racist white men or men, the Aryan Nation and all these other people we can name, KKK, yes, you're going to have your hate groups. But they don't represent the majority. There are certain niche groups who do certain things or have certain hate rhetoric, but they don't speak for everybody. And it's the same, we can look at stereotypes in the Black community. Everybody's not on welfare, and let me debunk that myth, because the largest number of people on welfare are white, not Black. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, you think about how stereotypes are perpetuated. The vocal minority tries to speak for the majority. And a lot of times they get more of the attention. But by and large, white men are very open. Many of them are. And again, going back to the research, yes, research proves that people tend to marry people within their own ethnic group. That's normal.
Right.
But everybody in an ethnic group doesn't make that choice.
It's tradition.
Exactly. And more, just as I said, with the numbers increasing, there are more white men who are expanding their dating and marriage options, and they're marrying and choosing Black women.
Do you see it being easier or harder in any particular geographic area?
It's funny because we get inboxes from Black women. You know, we post a lot of uplifting pictures on our page. We show couples, interracial couples, and the Black women are all shapes and sizes and skin tones, hair. You know, we are the rainbow. We have a
Yes.
vast variety. But we did a series one time. It was called Ordinary People, Extraordinary Love. And these are ordinary people. You know, yeah, we do celebrity couples, but by and large, a good 90% of the people we portray are ordinary people. And they're from all over the country. But yes, we do get people in the South saying, oh, men in the South aren't checking for Black women. We get women on the East Coast, West Coast, and the North. It's all a matter of your own perspective, because the couples we show are from literally all over the globe, really. So, you know, we hear that, but it's not true.
Does a celebrity influence make it easier? I know Eve has been very outspoken with trying to convince and encourage African American women to not just step outside of the racial lines, but to step outside of the United States.
Yes. Yes.
And
I think it helps. I think it helps because, you know, and then of course you have some people who say, oh, well, she's Eve, she's rich, or, you know, whatever excuse they give. But I think the more it's just like, you know, you think about the positive influences that Gabby Douglas and Simone and all these other athletes are having. Michelle Obama in the White House.
Yeah.
Black girls and Black women are seeing Black women excel and seeing them in these places and doing these incredible things. And you know how you feel when you look on TV and you see someone who looks like you on a magazine cover. It inspires you. It uplifts you. So the more I think Black women see this, the more they recognize that, well, you know, it is okay. Eve is happy. Janet Jackson is happy. Guess what? I can be happy too. So I think it helps. I don't think it hurts. I think it definitely helps kind of break down some of those barriers that might tend to prevent Black women from wanting to explore and expand.
okay, so tell me about the 50 days of dating.
That's our newest series, and I'm glad you asked me about that. 50 Days of Dating features one of our contributors, Rachel Robinson. She's a member of the Swirl World team, and she's chronicling her journey over 50 days. She's on 3 different online dating websites. And yes, and she's just sharing with our audience for 50 days with what it looks like for her. Putting up her profile, the different guys who are reaching out to her, the different ones she's going on dates with, and just her experience. So we encourage people to check that out. Even if you're married, check it out. It's interesting. It's funny. There are some serious moments because there are different issues that Rachel grapples with. There was a big one about chemistry. She met a guy who was seemingly perfect, but she just didn't feel romantically inclined toward him, and how she worked through that. So there are a lot of things that she covers. And one of the things that I really like about it is, again, she proves the point that Black women are highly, and I like to use the word highly, desired by white men. The guys that she's going on dates with run the gamut of their professions, and they are wanting to date her, a Black woman,
Now,
not a racially ambiguous woman. When you look at her, you know she's Black, and you know, no shade to anybody who may be quote unquote racially ambiguous, but I want to make the point that because a lot of times, you know, Black women feel because they're one complexion or another or whatever that limits them. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Be your wonderful self. There are men who are interested in you.
so she's on 3 different online dating sites. And now,
Yes.
does she just blog about it? Or is there any video that she's uploading?
It's a video. It's a daily video. So if we invite you to go to 50daysofdating.com. We also have a Facebook page, but you'll find all the videos there. I think this was day 30 or 31. So
Now, how did this come about?
well, Rachel was one of the fans on the Facebook, the Swirl World on Facebook, and we did a travel feature or something, and she submitted, from time to time we have women to post selfies so they can interact and get to know, you know, we have 38,000 people. There are a lot of people to get to know and interact with. And she inboxed us and said that she had lived in Turkey and other places, and she, loved to write for us if we were interested in a contributor, and we're always looking for content. And we're like, sure, come on. And bit by bit, she began to contribute and became a very valuable member of the team. And so this idea came about, and like, oh, if you're willing, yes, let's run with this, let's do it.
You said we're in day 30.
31, I think, today or tomorrow. Maybe today is day 30 and tomorrow's day 31.
What has been most interesting to this point?
All of it's been interesting.
Sounds like it would be a wonderful reality show, to just watch her.
Yes, from your mouth to God's ear. So yeah, but it is funny because she's had good dates, she's had bad dates, she's had some really comical dates, and there's been some soul searching that she's had to do. She's divorced and has been out of the dating world for I think 9 years. So she's decided, okay, I'm ready to start dating again, etc. And so there are changes that she's going through emotionally and mentally as she contemplates entering into relationships. So it's fascinating, I think, and it's entertaining, but it's also educational because Rachel has standards. And I think, and this is something else we really preach in the Swirl World, is Black women, know your worth, know your value, don't settle. Don't exchange one set of bad behavior in one ethnic group from bad behavior in another. No, vet, assess, determine if this man is who he says he is. And all of these things Rachel does in these videos. So they're very enlightening, and I advise anybody to watch.
And that is 50daysofdating.com?
Yes, the number 50, daysofdating.com.
And what's your Facebook page?
It's the same, facebook.com/the number 50 Days of Dating, and they'll find the Facebook page.
Okay.
So we put quotes, romantic quotes, and we show some articles posing dating questions that cause the readers to really think and assess how they're handling things. And then, of course, we post the links to the blog posts and videos. So they can either go straight to the Facebook page, go to the blog, and they'll find the content.
Because it really sounds like it would be something that would draw people in and help and encourage African American women that is possibly sitting on the fence.
Yes, I think so. I definitely agree with that. They would, because again, Rachel is showing, yes, it can be done. Yes, there are men in, great professions, and these men are all, because see, on her profile, she's saying that she's dating white men, that her preference,
okay,
this is what she's dating. And it matches because this is what these men are looking for. So amazingly, I say amazingly, I think amazingly to the audience, not to us, because we see it all the time, but they're seeing that, yes, this is that man's preference too. Not just her preference for her ethnic group, but this is his preference for the ethnic group of the woman he wants to date.
Now, as a friend sitting on the outside, because right now, Michelle, I can name probably 10 women over the age of 40 that have never dated outside their ethnic group, have never been married, and have no children.
Yes.
But they refuse to consider anything other than an African American brother.
And
now,
what's going to...
What?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What could I say to just interest them in looking at your page, the Swirl World or 50 Days of Dating, and then let their own natural interest pick up from there?
I would say just encourage them to look at a Black woman who decided to expand her dating and marriage options. Now, Rachel was a swirler from day one. She's divorced. Her husband was white. So she's always swirled. But there are a lot of women on our page who are new to swirling, or like me, were confronted with a situation where they met someone who met their criteria, and they had to decide. And let me say this before I finish. I was never the nothing but a Black man. That was never my position. I was always open. It just wasn't something that, I don't know, was the forefront of my mind. Yeah. And I didn't care and don't care about black. You know how some women get angry when they see a black man with a white woman. I don't. It's your life. It's your choice. You know, like that song says, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
I always ask the question, okay, well, let's look at the man. Is he somebody that you would date? And most of the time the answer is no. So then why can't somebody else?
Right.
Everybody that's looking for love deserves to find it.
Yes.
So
if you limit yourself, if you limit yourself, you're cutting yourself short. And, you know, are you saying that you're so one-dimensional that only a man in one ethnic group appeals to you? You know, I think sometimes we don't really pay attention to what we're saying or what we're thinking. Are you that limited that you can't reach out beyond your own group to someone else? And do you not think that that ethnic group would be interested in you? You know, what exactly is the core problem? Sometimes it's fear. A lot of times it's fear. But I would tell them, hey, you know, if you really, the sad part is that so many of these women, if they're waiting to marry black men, they're going to wind up alone. Because again, look at the numbers, 3-1, that black man is making a different choice. So why are you limiting yourself? Why don't you open your options?
Most of the time I see it's family influence. Because even in my own experience, I've never swirled, but I have siblings that swirl. And I was graduating from high school. I had no idea that my brother had even gotten married. But he brought his wife home for the first time to a small southern town. And then for the next year, I didn't get, you know, oh, congratulations, you graduated from high school. Or, you know, when I came home for breaks, how did you like college? That's not what I got. What I got was, girl, what happened to your brother? He wasn't like that when he left here. What did the Navy do to him? Where did he get that white girl from? All I heard about for a year was the white girl, the white girl, the white girl. And I was like, hush, I can't stand the white girl. I want to hear about the white girl no more. So, I mean, even though my close biological relatives, like aunts and uncles, were just kind of quiet with it, you know, because they were present and in the room with her. It was the neighborhood. It was cousins that were outside in the yard. It was, you know, when we went to the family reunion, they weren't even at the family reunion. But because I graduated in June and the family reunion was in July, it was, you know, just that one question. I don't even know the girl. I met her when y'all met her. You know, but so, and then even with the women here in the D.C. area, and you would think as diverse and metropolitan as D.C. is, a lot of the locals, the native Washingtonians, do find it very difficult because D.C. is the chocolate city. It's supposed to be the city of, especially now that the regentrification has taken place and a lot of other ethnic groups are moving back into the city, into D.C. city proper. They are, you know, we have to preserve the black community. You know, nothing, I hear this one a lot. Nothing is as strong as black love, you know, and they'll name a lot of celebrity couples that are in African-American relationships. So I find that it's not just the one-sidedness is not just prominent in the South, but I'm surprised that it exists as much in the metropolitan area, which is why I asked you the question about the geographical difference, because it was, you know, because it is something that you did for your Ph.D., I'm sure you looked at it from a number of different angles, which is why I asked the question about geographical. So in parting, is there anything in particular that you would like to say to an African American that may be watching this on my YouTube channel who has never swirled and is hasn't swirled because it's never presented itself. But now that she's seen this video, may think,
Yeah, Bob was probably hitting on me and I just didn't know it. My word to her would be, don't limit your own options. Don't limit yourself. Why would you limit yourself? You are beautiful. You are powerful. You are everything. And men desire you, not just men in your own ethnic group, but men of all ethnic groups. And if what you really want to find is love, then open yourself up to love from wherever love will find you. Don't hold love at bay, because when you limit yourself to a certain group, you're saying, well, no, I don't want love from that group. I don't want love from there. I don't want love from there. But when you say, I want love, see how open that is? When you're inclusive, you see how you know, that old saying about a closed fist never takes anything in. It's the same with a closed life. When you close your life off, you're limiting yourself, you're hindering, you're preventing things, and you're preventing people from coming into your life who would if you were open to them. So that would be my parting word. Don't limit yourself. You're beautiful, you're powerful, you're everything. Men desire and want you. Men want you. So don't hold them off. Don't put them at bay. Open yourself up to love.
Now, Michelle and I would love to hear from you. Your thoughts, your feedback, your insight, leave them in the comment section below. And consider joining my email list over at thatanitalive.com. It's where I host contests, giveaways. Immediately you'll receive an audio download with 3 proven techniques to build stronger self-confidence. Over at thatanitalive.com. Be blessed.